again. We are back and we're going to start at question 9. We just finished doing question 8 right here. Okay, so let's keep going. Interesting, we have two triangles and they actually have evidence that they're different. This one has one measurement. Let's say it's length of 5. This one has a different measurement, maybe length of 3. But we do know that this one here is isosceles. So mark, mark, necklace, necklace. We know that the base angles of an isosceles triangle are congruent. And we could call this X, but there's already an X. So I'm going to call that Y. Okay, so now I'm just going to do ABC. Angle A plus angle B plus angle C is 180. That's the triangle sum theorem. Angle A is 65. B is also 65. And the third angle we don't know, but we're about to find out. Okay, so this is 50 degrees, which means we know this is 50 degrees because those are vertical. Now, mark, mark, double necklace, double necklace. If these two sides are equal to one another, their base angles are equal. So we now know this is 50. And we can set up an equation CDE. Angle C plus angle D plus angle E has to add up to 180 because of the triangle sum theorem. Now here, angle C is still 50, D is X, and E is also 50. So when I combine like terms and then subtract, I get X is equal to 80. Now it's interesting, I noticed that these angles don't really match. I mean, that 50 matches this, but the angles don't match. So these are actually not similar or congruent. So they're not similar and they're not congruent, but pieces of them are matching. Okay, let's move on to question number 10. We know mark, mark, but I'd actually like to focus on this one first because I know a number there. So start with what you know or what you're given. We're given that's 28, and we know these two angles have to be equal, but we don't know what they are. So I'm going to call them Y. So that angle is Y, and I'm going to add them all up. So A, B, C. So angle A is 28, B is Y, C is Y. Oops, sorry, you weren't able to see that. So add up the three angles. So I get 76. So I'm not done though, but I at least can plug this back in. But I actually don't think that maybe this led me down a wild goose chase. I'm not sure that helped me at all. In fact, I'm trying to get over to this other triangle and I know something else here. That's 90. So I actually know that 90 minus 28 is 62. So this is 62. And interestingly enough, this would have to be 62 because those are base angles. So I probably should have set this up AB. Now I'm going to have to call this D. Angle A plus angle B plus angle D all have to add up to 180. This triangle. Angle A here is 62 on this triangle. B is X and D is 62. So that's 124. There we go. Okay, hopefully all those are right. Now let's get to the back. So once we get the hang of this, we can probably write a little bit less work. And now they actually started going on obtuse angles, angles happening outside. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So let's look at this. I think this is a linear pair. So that angle is 148, which means 180. That's definitely a straight line. So 180 minus 148 is 32. So that's 32, right? And I don't know what these base angles are, but I know they're equal. So I'm going to call them Y. Okay, and so angle A is actually 32, and the other two angles I don't know. Now, the same thing happened a minute ago. That's 74 and that's 74, but I'm really trying to get over to this triangle. Ugh, I fell for it again. That's 90. So if that angle's 32, I should be able to figure out what that one is. 90 minus 32. All right, 90 minus 32 is 58. So that's 58, and because these are congruent, that has to be 58. So I know what angle would make a linear pair with the number 58. X plus 58 has to add up to 180 because of the linear pair postulate. So, because together they make a straight line. So when I subtract 58 on both sides, I get X is equal to 122. Okay, next question. That was a little different. It's kind of cool. All right, that's 120, which means that has to be 60. We know these are isosceles, so these are two equal numbers. We can call that Y. So Y plus 60 all has to add up to 180. Interesting. So I ended up getting Y is 60. So this is 60 and this is 60, and that should actually make sense. What two numbers would add with 60 to get 180? Now you know because of a vertical, that's 60. And because these are marks, the isosceles, these base angles are congruent. Once again, you'd know then that was 60. And then this would also have to be 60 because of vertical angles. All right. Let's keep going. 13. Interesting. We know that these two are equal because of angle, side, angle. We also know that since the base angles are congruent, these sides have to be congruent. So you actually know because of angle, side, angle that these triangles are congruent, and because of that, you can jump and transfer information from one triangle to the next because of CPCTC. So let's do that. We know that these two sides are equal, and because we know these are twin triangles, we actually know that these would have to match the one over here, so it's kind of like a diamond folded in half. So 8 has to equal -1 plus x, and when I add 1 to both sides, I get x is 9. All right, that was a cool one. I see this big triangle is isosceles, which means that these base angles here have to be congruent. And so once again, because of angle, side angle, or side angle, side, because you know reflexive here, that these triangles are congruent. And because of that, their corresponding parts are going to be congruent. So these are corresponding parts. I'm going to set those equal to each other. And do the algebra. And I get x is 12. Keeping it going. This is an isosceles triangle, so mark, mark, necklace, necklace. That's got to be 47. This has got to be 47. Since these are congruent, these are base angles, so this would also have to be 47. So now angle 2, I have an expression. They just didn't have enough room to write that in there. So I'm going to call this triangle ABC. All those angles should add up to 180. Angle A is x plus 94, B is 47, and C is also 47 because they're both the base angles. Okay, so when I combined all those, I'm going to get a negative, but notice in class, a negative happened every once in a while. It doesn't mean the measure of angle 2 is negative. It just means if you plug that back in, you're going to get a negative. Okay. Interesting. So this is the equation for this, right? We know this is 68 and this is 68. And we know that this angle right here is 90 minus that expression. So I'm kind of using a shortcut, but 90 minus this expression would be this, I'll call that angle A. So angle A, we don't know, but we know it's 90 minus that expression because these two expressions have to add up to 90. Now I can set this up. Angle A plus angle B plus angle C all adds up to 180. Angle A is 90 minus 4x minus 2, but I have to distribute the negative. B is 68 and C is 68. Use algebra to solve. Thanks for joining us.